Okay, this is the aforementioned. Big Daddy, there is a book called Cry Like a Grandmaster, which you can buy at our merch store, which is exactly the book that you want. So it does exist. It's been on sale for about 5 years. So go to the merch store and buy Cry Like a Grandmaster. Okay, so this is Magnus versus Fedoseev. Magnus is white. Fedoseev prepared to the teeth. This was all his preparation. Not a very common line. Fedoseev said he still prepared this, even though he's used some time. Engine prefers knight h5, but maybe he used a better engine than I'm using. Always play f6, h5. f3 is not the best move. It's playable. And yeah, black is about equal here. Magnus is still a little better. So far, it's a pretty good game. Both sides playing very well. Yeah, the engine says Magnus should play g4. But rook g1's okay. Yeah, the engine still says both players are playing excellent. White's slightly better. Okay, and rook h1 is the best move. Amazing. Yeah, okay. And so far, both players have played excellent chess. The engine says almost every move is correct, and that white is better by playing king f7, rook g2, bishop f6, and then pushing this pawn. And it says it's a draw, but the engine prefers white. Okay. That's what would normally happen when Magnus was having a good day. Magnus played a terrible move, king d5. Now he's worse. Okay. b6. f4 is okay. King d7 is good. And this position, Magnus made the losing move. The correct move is to take on e5, and the engine says black is slightly better. But Magnus played g4, which is insane. And g4 loses. And Fedoseev could have won the game here. What he needs to do is play knight c2, threatening knight e3 checkmate. The most obvious move to stop checkmate is g takes f5. That gives white the e4 square for his king. The second best move, according to the engine, is to give your bishop away for nothing. So, also stops checkmate. And then rook g4, and I'm guessing Fedoseev saw knight c2, gf5, and he just thought, well, the king has e4 later, so I'm not winning. But after rook g4, we're threatening the bishop, and we're also threatening rook f4. Rook f4 doesn't just win a pawn, it threatens rook d4 mate, knight e3 mate, and knight b4 mate. And after takes, you could argue those moves aren't mate because white plays king takes e5, so all of these threats are meaningless. Well, actually, if it was black to move and he played any of those moves, after king takes e5, bishop d6 is mate. So in this position, white must play knight b5 to stop bishop d6 mate in those instances, and then knight check, King takes, rook b4, attacks the knight, and the knight can't move away because bishop d6 is mate. This is the best Magnus can do, and then the engine says Magnus just loses his knight, and black is +3. So probably Fedoseev would have won the game if he had played knight c2 here. The best Magnus can do is lose a piece. Fedoseev took on g4. Now the game is a draw again. F takes e5. F takes e5. Knight e4. And the engine just says all zeros. Knight f3. Knight takes c5 is a big mistake. Very un-Magnus-like. This knight is greatest knight ever. So I don't know why you would trade it. Just bishop g3 is equal position, threatening to take the pawn. Engine says all zeros. Now it says white has a terrible position, because black has a passed pawn. These pawns are all hanging, and bishop is dominated by the knight. So now Magnus has to play really well to not lose. And he played rook c1, which is a terrible move. Best move is a4. Try to get your pawns going. King e6 is the strongest move. Rook c4. King f5. And white's just lost. Black's going to do this. And if you don't like that, black's going to do this. And if you don't like that, black's going to do this. So black has 3 winning plans. Take these, take this, or push this. Magnus played the best try. Rook a4. Several moves win here. He played knight h2. Magnus again played an awful move, giving himself no chance. He has to take this, and then after knight f3, start pushing his a-pawn. The engine says black's winning because black can play rook g2 after knight f3 and the bishop's trapped. So black is still winning. So he didn't want to lose his bishop after knight f3, rook g2, so he took, and this is just an easy win. There's no counterplay for white. So they push their pawns and their kings. Black has more pawns than white. Unfortunate. Magnus kept checking. And he's out of checks now. And here, after king b1, he resigned. I mean, the only human move is to play rook here. And then I play g2, threatening g1, queen check. Yeah, the truth hurts. So in this position, after king b1, Magnus resigned. So nice game by Fedoseev. Fedoseev missed an earlier win. Magnus played well until he played king d5 instead of king f7. And Magnus played very badly after king d5. If he had played king f7, it was still a pretty good game. And anything could have happened. Magnus could have won. Fedoseev could have won. Could have been a draw. After king d5, Fedoseev was in the driver's seat, and Magnus did not defend with his usual tenacity. So, not a good day at the office for Magnus. And Slovenia beats Norway 3-1. Slovenia's average rating is quite low compared to the other teams it's been competing with the last few rounds. And they're up in the top 5 now, and they're easily the lowest rated team that's doing so well. And so forth. How did people analyze before engines? Their analysis was wrong.